This is the Darren Paltrocast with Darren Paltrowitz.
Paltrocast.
I've been interviewing musicians, comedians, and all sorts of entertainers for almost 20 years. Joan Rivers, Flavor Flav, Paris Hilton, members of Guns N' Roses and the Eagles, and countless others. This show is about artists and why they do what they do.
Paltrocast.
Welcome to episode number 32 of the Paltrocast with Darren Paltrowitz. I really appreciate you taking the time to download, listen, however you're getting this podcast. And on this edition, I spoke with Myles Kennedy from Alter Bridge, Steel Panther members Michael Starr and Lexxi Foxx, and last and definitely not least, although she's the second interview you're going to be hearing, Britt from AEW, or All Elite Wrestling. And first up is my chat with Myles Kennedy from Alter Bridge. Their new album is called Walk the Sky. Myles is also the singer of Slash from Guns N' Roses' band. Plus, he himself put out a solo record last year. Plus, he was in bands before Alter Bridge. He really comes across not only as a nice and talented guy, but a hardworking individual. And something that comes up in the interview is the fact that he didn't really think that this was a full-time, guaranteed career until just a few years ago. I mean, a lot of us will look at him and go, that guy's a rock star, he's touring the world, he's doing really well. But it's interesting to see that imposter syndrome even creeps up among really successful people. Hope you enjoy the chat.
Myles, how's it going there today?
Good, Darren. How you doing?
I am excellent, and going straight into it here, Walk the Sky is the new album. How long had that been in the works for?
Well, I speak for myself. I guess I started writing about a year, just over a year ago for it. So I started writing in August. I don't know how long Mark had been setting aside ideas, but yeah. So we've been planning on getting in the studio this spring, and so as songwriters, we did our best to make sure that we were prepared, so we didn't, walk into the studio with no songs.
And do you remember which song you wrote for it first, or at least which song was helmed in the studio first?
For me, the genesis of it would have been the riff, and I guess the main riff for a song that ended up being Native Son.
And when you're writing music, does it always start the same way? For example, is it a lyric first? Is it a melody first? Or are you the kind of guy that actually sits down with a guitar and says, I'm going to write a song right now?
For me, it generally starts with the riff and the chord progression and then a melody. So yeah, it's usually the chord progression will feed the melody and then the melody will feed the lyric.
And in the case of Alter Bridge, do you guys have to be in the same room to write, or are you the kind of band that emails ideas because you don't live in the same city, I presume?
Yeah. So, well, for this record, it was definitely demoing separately. Mark and I did, because we were on the road in our various entities. So, we would get in the same room on previous records a lot of times, but this record was more of an exercise in the demoing process.
And I'd imagine that you'd written some of the album when you were on tour with Slash?
A lot of it. In fact, for me, most of what I brought in was written while I was touring with Slash. Yeah. Got
it. And a lot of people say, hey, it's like choosing children here, but do you have a favorite song on the album, Walk the Sky?
Yeah, that's a tough one. It is like choosing children. If you were to ask me today, I probably would say In the Deep is probably my favorite.
And then looking ahead, given your busy schedule, because this is obviously not your only band or musical project, do you know what the next, year and a half looks like for Alter Bridge? Are you doing festivals and lots of touring?
Yeah, it's just a lot of touring. I mean, at this point, it will be a lot of touring worldwide.
Somebody who's been following you for many years, like myself, knows that you started professionally as a musician in the 90s, and you really started to hit it big in the early 2000s. So there was a lot of years of struggle there. And not many artists are in one successful band, let alone two. So that leads me to ask about time management. How do you manage to get all this done while still doing a solo record last year?
I think just because it's really all that I've known for so long as far as being a musician and someone who likes to create. So, I don't really have much of a life outside of music. So I'm working all the time on just trying to evolve as a songwriter and as an artist. And so it's it's lots of time to try and create something, and hopefully that ends up manifesting itself in these various projects. So I think if I had children, it would be different. Where my wife and I don't have kids, it allows me a lot more free time to play around on the guitar.
Well, knowing a lot of musicians, they usually have some interesting hustles when times are tight, when, they're on the cusp of making it. And a common thing I've heard is artists doing jingles. Was that ever in your repertoire of earning a living?
Oh, yeah, I did. I was a session player. I mean, that was actually what I originally wanted to be. It's funny that life has turned out the way it has for me from a career standpoint, because I originally wanted to be a studio musician. And I loved getting in the studio and playing on various whether it was movie scores or jingles or other people's music. I just really liked being able to put on different hats, and I think a lot of that came from what I understood about Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones, because they were session players, and Zeppelin is probably my favorite band of all time. So knowing that they came up the ranks the same way was really inspiring to me.
And in terms of the jingles and all that, was it kind of stuff like Coca-Cola or car dealerships? Anything you can tell about that?
No, I don't think anything that was that big to my recollection. But we do have a lot of, at the time in the 90s, we had a lot of production houses in Spokane that would get like major placement. They did a lot of TV. I seem to remember I played guitar on some children's movie that ended up being pretty big. I honestly can't remember what it was. I think it was something about a turtle or something, But yeah, there was a lot of local work that I did, but some things that ended up going, I guess more on a national level.
Well, fast forwarding a little bit, as I said before, you're in two bands that are hugely in demand internationally beyond the solo record, beyond all the, the one-offs when you pop up on a Fozzy album and that kind of thing. I'm curious when you stopped worried about the struggle in terms of how am I going to make a living? In other words, when did you start to go, okay, this is going to be fine, and let's think about the next album?
About a week ago. No, I'm joking. I think the realization that things were going to be all right, probably, not too long ago. I mean, I've always kind of lived with the mindset that this could end at any minute. I never took it for granted and let myself get comfortable, because I felt like if I lost that hunger, that the work would suffer. So I always kind of put myself in the mindset that, like, if the songs weren't there, if the performances weren't there, that, the fans would go on to the next thing. So to make sure that I'm still afforded the luxury of making music, always put my best foot forward and work as hard as I could. And so I think keeping that hunger is really important. But as far as really feeling like things are all right, and that as far as the days of struggling are past me, I would say probably 5 years ago, where it started to really feel like, okay, we're going to be fine here. It's going to be okay.
And the way that you sing on all your albums is very different, because some of them you're doing the high register things. Other times it's more guttural in a way. So do you have to do a lot of vocal care in general to keep up all those different parts of your register?
Yeah, I try to be very aware of how I'm using my voice. I've learned over decades of doing this what my voice gravitates towards and what it doesn't. So I tend to try and keep it in its comfortable zones. And yeah, I had some training, which definitely helped. I don't drink a lot while I'm touring. I try to be aware of what I eat and how much sleep I get. And yeah, it's one of those things. If you want it to work and do what you tell it to do, you have to take care of it. And I'm always trying to do that. And
on this Walk the Sky album, you do an old trick of having Mark sing lead on a song and you taking the chorus. When the song was written, was it clear all along that was going to be the case? Or is it more the thing of Mark going, I feel like singing a song, and you go ahead?
With that one, no. It was actually originally supposed to be sung by me. But I remember when we were in the studio and I was listening to it, and I told Elvis, our producer, I thought, this to me sounds like more of a Mark song. And I think it would be cool if we had Mark sing this. And originally I wanted Mark to sing the entire song, And Elvis thought that was a good idea as well. And then we brought up the idea with Mark, and he was totally down with it, because I think he really, after getting his feet wet fronting Tremonti, I think he really enjoys the singing side of things. So he was more than happy to do it. And then in the end, it ended up working out best that I sang the chorus because of where it was in Mark's register. So we've got the old kind of waters rising approach that we did a few years ago. What was the other song, Words Darker Than Your Wings, where we traded vocals, and the fans seemed to really like it. So, definitely want to incorporate some of that.
Did you know along that you were going to be making the album for Napalm Records? Because some bands, have 5 album deals, and others do licensing album by album, of course.
Yeah, we knew this one was going to be finding its home at Napalm. We knew that just given the structure of how we set things up a few years ago with them, and they did a great job with the Last Hero. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right, absolutely. And before you mentioned that your session player aspirations, a lot of it came out of understanding that Jimmy Page and John Paul Jones both had success as session players. But who were the bands, or what was the album that made you want to start playing guitar in the first place?
Van Halen 1. That was the one for me. When I heard Eruption, it was clear that the spark had been created. That was it. That changed everything for me, and many other guitar players at that point in time. I think Eddie Van Halen single-handedly, created an entire guitar army, really.
So it was never about Van Hagar, or is it just as long as Eddie was playing, that was fine?
Oh, as long as Eddie was playing. I loved what Sammy brought to the mix as well. I loved David Lee Roth. I mean, I love all that stuff. But that very first record was such a interesting point in my development as a teenager, as a kid, and it was a game changer for me. Who
are some of the bands these days that you think are carrying on that tradition of Van Halen and Led Zeppelin, if there is anyone?
Well, I mean, it's different. I mean, I think that there are bands that are, continuing to break new ground, and that's really what I loved about Van Halen when I first heard, and Zeppelin as well. I mean, they were kind of paving the way for these, and it was a fresh approach that we hadn't heard at the time. So you could say the same thing, even though it's very different from Van Halen or Led Zeppelin. But that's how I feel about a band like Gojira. They're taking metal and really taking it to the next stage, and it's such an incredible work of. I feel like their records and their visuals and their production live now. There's a real artistic element to it. So I feel like they're an important band for the scene.
And did being a fan of Van Halen lead you more towards the 80s metal scene? Because I asked that, I heard a rumor that you were a big fan of the band TNT. I don't know if that's true.
Oh, yeah. I love TNT. In fact, Tony Harnell's a friend of mine. But yeah, TNT was one of those bands I heard where I was just like, what is that? What is Ronnie Latecro doing with his guitar? How's he doing that? He had this crazy fast right hand, and the vocals were great, songs were great. I think TNT still is. It's a great band.
Yeah, you never know when you're going to find American TNT fans. But
right.
But moving ahead, you said that, life pretty much is music for you. Is there anything that in general that you wish people knew about Myles Kennedy?
Gosh, I don't know. I mean, I feel like I'm pretty uninteresting, so I don't know if I really want anybody to know anything other than the fact that I, sing and play music and play guitar. Because I lead a pretty boring existence outside of that. Nothing too exciting to report here.
Well, a lot of your rock peers find their ways onto celebrity golf tours, or they want to have travelogue kind of shows or podcasts. Is there anything in your life along those lines?
No, I don't think. I'm kind of a lopsided person. It all kind of centers around music for me. I mean, I have things I'm interested in outside of music. I mean, I love architecture and modernism and things like that, but I have no plans to try and start drawing up blueprints for buildings anytime soon, because my math skills are not very good.
But along those lines, sometimes I like to ask that kind of stuff. For example, the drummer of Korn, when I recently interviewed him, I asked, what's the first stop that you do when you get to a city? And some people say I check into the hotel and drop off my bags. He said, I find the sweet shop and the coffee shop. Do you have anything like that you do as soon as you get into a town?
I did the coffee thing for a while. I mean, I love coffee, but it kind of messes with my voice, so I kind of had to back that off a little bit. Usually, the first thing I do when I get to town is try and find some sort of healthy joint to eat at. That's kind of trying to take care of myself the best as I can and eat something that isn't going to, have negative, something that'll treat me well, I should say, and keep the voice strong and all that. So yeah, I generally put my bags in the room and get online and see what's nearby that's somewhat healthy.
Life then music for you, so we proved that one.
Exactly.
Great. So Myles, in closing, any last words for the kids?
Just look for Alter Bridge in a town near you, and we're looking forward to get out and playing for y'all. Definitely.
Looking forward to seeing you guys in New York soon.
Thanks, Darren.
Next up is my interview with Britt Baker, or if you're a fan of All Elite Wrestling, or AEW for short, you know her as Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And that's because she's not only a top competitor within All Elite Wrestling, but she's actually a dentist. Yes, a wrestler and a dentist. So she shatters so many stereotypes, and we kept this chat short but sweet, but I think that you're going to hear a person that is very motivated in every way possible and appreciative of her success. I mean, to put it mildly, this has been the biggest year of her career because she was only announced as having signed to AEW back in January. So less than a year later, she's on weekly television while keeping up her great career as a dentist. And yes, she does tell you which toothbrush she recommends you using. So enjoy.
Hey, Britt, how's it going there?
It's going. Thanks for the call.
Jumping right into it here, you began 2019, announced for AEW, and it's kind of being launched into the stratosphere really, really big. Was the end of 2018 really lax for you? Did you know to expect a big 2019?
I would say definitely not as big as it is now. I'm always optimistic and always hopeful and always, I always like to keep the mentality that the next best thing is just steps ahead of you. Because if not, it's really easy to get discouraged and stay down on yourself. But I definitely did not see being quite so explosive in my world, per se.
And last night you had a really big match on television, which really was a big spotlight for you. Did it go as great as you hoped it would?
Sure did, because we ended up winning via my submission. So I don't think it can go any better than that.
And you are, of course, on the hunt for the World Championship. What would it mean to become the World Champion for the women's division of AEW?
I was signed as the first woman for the company, so I was catapulted right away to the top just for that basic fact. I was the first woman signed to this company. But now there's a women's championship introduced. So now to be the best, you have to be the champion. So I don't want to just be the first woman signed anymore. I want to be the world champion, and that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Had you known a lot of the AEW people before signing with the company?
Almost all of them, I would say, yes. And which is so cool about it, because it's like we're all just buddies backstage.
And do you designate any of them as best friends, or is that too personal to ask?
I don't know about best friends, but I think definitely close friends. Like I talk with several of the wrestlers all throughout the week. So yeah, I guess you would say that there are some that are my best friends, but you have to be careful too, because you can't really trust anyone too much in a professional wrestling locker room, right?
Absolutely. Well, where I was going with that is when people have a trade, I find that usually their best friends are all people in the industry, like they only hang out with people in the industry, or they kind of go the other way and they say, this is work and I don't have anything to do with the people in my business because that's work. Yeah. So are you closer to just being friends with people in your business primarily?
AEW is still so new, and it's not that I'm not best friends with them. It's just that I'm still getting to know a lot of these people more, because before, you just see them at an indie show maybe once or twice a year. So to become better acquaintances first is awesome. But I have tons of friends in wrestling. My boyfriend, obviously, Adam Cole, is my best friend. Chelsea Green, Deonna Purrazzo, Rachel Ederling, all with NXT are my best friend, and they're still my best friends, even though we both compete on Wednesday nights. So it's, but I also, you have to think I have two worlds too. So I have a lot of friends in the dental world too. And, I have to every now and then take a step back from all these quote unquote friends and have time for myself too, or I'll go crazy.
Besides Dr. Isaac Yankum, DDS, are there any people that straddle both the dental and wrestling worlds?
I don't think so, and if so, they haven't come to the surface yet to claim it. So I'm gonna keep calling it my own for now.
And in general, do your professions intersect in any way, or are you able to keep them entirely isolated?
Yes, that's a hard question. Yes and no. I get tons of wrestlers that ask me dental questions or dental advice, or this tooth hurts, or can you look at this, or which product should I use? I get that all the time. I also more and more am getting some fans trickling in as my patients, which is good as long as that they're there to be a patient and to keep on track of their oral health, because that's going to get a little crazy if it's just fans coming in all the time, because then we can't get work done. So you can't do all play, right?
Absolutely. Well, are there particular products that you do endorse outwardly?
People normally ask about like toothbrushes, and I'm a big advocate of the Sonicare Diamond Clean electric toothbrush. I think it's fantastic. It's helped me. It helps so many of my patients that have periodontal problems or prone to cavities. So that's my favorite.
Now, looking long term, is your goal to be able to do both for the rest of your life, or at least for a long, long time, be a wrestler and a dentist? Or do you eventually hope to just be a wrestler?
No, I hope to be able to do them both for as long as I can. And for me personally, that's why AEW is such a dream promotion that just came out of nowhere, because I am able to work in the dental office Monday, Tuesday, get a flight to wherever we're going Wednesday for Dynamite, and then fly back to the dental office for Thursday, Friday. So that is quite literally living the dream in my sense, because it's my degree that I worked 8 years for and the professional wrestling dream that I've been chasing just colliding. And I hope to do both as long as I can. With that being said, obviously my professional wrestling career will most likely end before my dental career, because that's just the nature of the business. It's hard on your body, and someday I hope to have a family. So, but that's just, dentistry is a forever job. Wrestling is a now job, and I love it, and I want to capitalize on it for as long as I can.
Well, both of those professions require a lot of study and long-term expanding your mind to knowing what's the latest and greatest. Would you agree with that part?
Absolutely. I mean, anything that you want to be the best at, any craft, you have to study. The times are always changing. There's always new techniques, there's new strategies, and you really have to stay on the cusp of that to be great.
And then beyond being world champion, are there any other goals that you have for your career as a wrestler?
I think for now I got to focus on being world champion, because that means you are the best.
Well, is there life outside of wrestling and dentistry for you? And I ask that because a lot of people, they just have one job that keeps them very, very busy. So the second they're not doing that, they're at concerts or festivals or traveling. But you have a travel-oriented profession and a very intensive career other than that. Is there life outside of wrestling?
Kind of, but then I also have to be in the gym training all the time, because it's a physique-driven business. We have to look the part, and then also I try to stay on top of the latest and greatest dental techniques, so I'm going to different conferences, different conventions. But as far as absolutely non-work related, I love going to the beach. I'm such a beach bum, and because we're in Orlando, Florida, me and my boyfriend, we go to Disney when we can here and there too. It's always just a nice little escape to go to the most magical place in the world.
And you're originally from Punxsutawney, is that correct?
Yes, I was born and raised in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. I did my undergraduate studies at Penn State University in State College, Pennsylvania, and then I did my I got my dental degree at the University of Pittsburgh. And
of course, the movie Groundhog Day is synonymous with that city. But am I correct that none of the movie was actually filmed there?
Yes. Right? It's hard. I hate telling people that when they ask me about the movie Groundhog Day. I think it was filmed in Chicago, actually. But I feel like I'm always like the bearer of bad news when I have to tell somebody that.
Right. So everything said and all that, is there anything that you wish more people knew about you in general?
I mean, I feel like I wear it all on my sleeve. Everything about me is within my character, within my gimmick. So other than that, I think what you see is what you get with me. And if you don't see it, there's a reason. So in closing, Britt, any last words for the kids? No, everybody, we hope to see you all at our shows. My shows are absolutely phenomenal. It's something you have to be there to feel it, to experience it, and it's once-in-a-lifetime experience. You have to get to a live show.
Last, and definitely not least here, is my chat, which was done in person in Brooklyn with half of the band Steel Panther. That's singer Michael Starr and bassist Lexxi Foxx. The new Steel Panther album is called Heavy Metal Rules, which is clearly a reference to the excellent documentary known as Heavy Metal Parking Lot. These two guys are hilarious, although, they don't want to admit that there's any joke to what they're doing. Parental advisory is advised if you're listening in below a certain age, because there are some choice words put into this chat here. But the bottom line is they were a real delight to talk with. Thanks very much to Kevin for making this one happen. Looking forward to seeing this band on the road. And I give them a lot of credit. This is the first album, as far as I know, that they're doing on their own terms. They funded it. They're making all the business deals happen with all that. So not only is the band taking big risks and thriving as a live band, but they're also trying to do it here as a studio band. Heavy Metal Rules is the album, and Steel Panther, thank you so much for your time.
Here with Steel Panther right here. We're in a beautiful bar called Duff's. Brooklyn, right?
Brooklyn, right?
Brooklyn. Yeah, baby. Brooklyn, the home Steel Panther.
That's right.
And
we're from California.
Yeah.
We're from Brooklyn, Pizza, California.
Woo! Well, Heavy Metal Rules is the new record, and I will admit, before I was into metal, I liked tennis. What were you guys into before metal?
You said tennis?
I said tennis.
I love tennis.
Still love tennis?
Yeah, I do. And I tell you what, let me tell you why I do. Because Andre Agassi brought heavy metal back kind of into... When Agassi was at his prime...
He was rocking, right?
Yeah.
Fucking Brooke Shields and
shit? Yeah,
shit?
it's exactly what he was doing. And he grew his hair out,
yep.
and he wore the colors, and he was very flamboyant, and it was just all about him. And that's what heavy metal is about. It's all about us right now. We wear flashy colors, we grow our hair out, and we consider ourselves to be very successful, especially with this record. And as Andre Agassi was, until he started losing his hair.
He lost his hair. You should put a wig on.
Yeah.
Think about it, like you start losing your hair, and you think, what would Paul Stanley do? Right?
What would Gene Simmons do?
Right, exactly.
Well, did you know it actually was a mullet wig that Andre Agassi was wearing?
No, that's rad.
Well, good for him. That's how you get pussy. See, chicks don't, as long as you look bitchin', it doesn't matter what's on the inside or outside. I got tons of makeup all over my face. You know what, when I take this makeup off, luckily I'm still beautiful, but at the same time...
You really are.
Thank you so much.
I mean, I noticed last night you took your makeup off and went up to the bar.
Yeah.
Watching the football game. Mm-hmm. Those waitresses were Googling over you.
Well, I appreciate that very much.
Not Googling you, but they were like...
Okay, as I say, because everybody's got a phone now. They can do that and find out who I really am.
Who's that guy? He's so cute. And you're like buying drinks for everybody.
Yeah, well, I like to do that. It makes me feel better.
You know what? If you ever want to go and get a free meal, just hang out with Lexi.
Thank you so much.
Because he loves to host, and he's the best host in the world.
Because it's all about me then.
See? Gives you the ultimate control.
Exactly.
Yeah. You buy the Coke, you control the masses.
That's exactly what you do. So anyway, that's for you kids.
Well, we'll come back to last.
You know what I was into before heavy metal?
What were you into
Cheeseburgers. Like, I was a cheeseburger connoisseur, and I would go to different places to try different cheeseburgers. And because my dad, when I was younger, used to bring me to this place to get cheeseburgers, and they were the best. So thank God for Five Guys, because I love their burgers. Hey, let's have that for lunch.
Five Guys?
Yeah.
Yes, it sounds great.
You'll be close to a Five Guys when you go to Sirius XM later today.
Yes.
Whoa, you can just do that on command.
Teriyaki. I mean pterodactyl.
Teriyaki. Oh, speaking of that, they have teriyaki burgers?
No, not at Five Guys. Just a double cheeseburger, double hamburger, and hot dogs.
All right, well, we're going to have you...
Cajun fries are killer, but you got to take a Prilosec when you eat them.
I just bought Prilosec.
Did you really?
Because the older we get, the thing of it, too, the more you reparty, the more acid reflux you get, because you tend to drink more because your liver gets used to it, and you have to keep consuming more. That just means you have to pay more attention to commercials and shit like that the older we get, really. We used to flip through them. Now we have to go, oh, shit, I do have that.
Yeah.
I have that, too.
I remember, trying to just be relevant, and my dad used to say, you're not a liver, Michael, you're like an appendix. You're fucking useless. I'm like, Dad.
Michael grew up in a very dysfunctional household, and I think we all do, and that's why we're in this band, because we're able to get the things that we weren't getting as kids, and now we get all the attention and all the pussy we want.
Right.
I told my dad, I'm more like a hammer. That's fucking useless. I'm not pounding nails, man. I'm fucking singing heavy metal, dude.
Well, that all comes back to Heavy Metal Rules, which is an excellent, excellent album. But if we look at the evolution of Steel Panther, you were a lot more synth-heavy on the first record, and now there's a lot of ballads on there. What inspired that?
Well,
which record you listen to now? The Heavy Metal Rules one?
Heavy Metal Rules, the first 2 songs that you've put out.
Oh, that has little keyboards. Well, there's still keyboards, just a different sound.
Right.
It's a heavier sounding keyboard we got.
Like Fat Girl has like more of a white snaky sound.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And then fucking Party All Day has the Bon Jovi thing going on. But this one, this record, we really came into our own as musicians,
right,
songwriters, and as business partners. We also released this record all on our own.
Yes.
We paid for it all ourselves. My mom loaned us a bunch of money, and we put it out. I mean, it's a big deal. So,
Well, I'd say she didn't really loan us the money. I did some special favors for his mom. And that's what we keep it in the family.
Though.
We keep it all. Yes, it is a loan. We do have to. Yes, we keep it in the family. Like he took advantage of my mom for a bit. I like to take advantage of his mom for a bit.
Well, his mom paid for all our costumes on Lower the Bar.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah. And then we got to with that we got to rehearse in the garage for a while, and that's when we did our acoustic
live from
thing,
Lexi's garage. Yeah.
So we got to.
His mom sucks amazing.
There's a lot of giving.
Can I say that?
You can say that.
Okay. His mom sucks amazing dick.
And I'm used to it now, so now I take it. I wasn't.
He likes it
first
too.
I was offense to it. Now I'm like, thank you so much, because my mom, like when football teams came in town,
right?
My mom would
nowhere
always
to
hang
be
out the
found,
bars.
right?
No, nowhere to be found. And so she got straight. Like they always used to play wherever football teams were. My mom would just. She's talented. So now I take it. I don't take offense to it or defense football. I don't take it offensive. I take it as a compliment. So
it is.
Before
It
I used
really
to get
is.
mad when
it's a compliment.
Even if they were famous football players, said I fucked the shit out of your mom, I'd be very defensive and I'd be upset as a kid.
Yeah.
Because the Dallas Cowboys came to town a lot, and this is back when Too Tall Jones was on the team. They had
that goes back.
And Mean Joe Green, when the Steelers came to town, he was Mean Joe Green in my mom's vagina. And do you remember that?
Blitzburg all over the pussy.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We talk about the Steel City.
Woo! That shit hurts.
God, 100%. Yeah.
Anyways.
So if you were a tennis fan and now apparently you're a sports fan, sports were a big part of your life before music took off. I take it.
Exactly. I was a big football fan.
Me too.
I know a lot of the players personally. It's just you're going to let your imagination run wild with that.
But then something that you were just talking about, as you get older and millisecond, all that comes into effect. Right. You guys look exactly the same as you did 10 years ago and 15 years ago.
That's a big deal.
Botox,
yeah, and yes, exactly. Faceless, all kinds of. Like I said, you have to pay attention to the commercials. The older you get, will make you feel a little better on the inside, which really gives a shit unless you're spitting up, throwing up all over the place. But for the outside, there's all kinds of new techniques. There's ways to keep my hair. There's ways to keep my face afloat.
Absolutely,
So and I appreciate that, but it is a lot. It's hard work being in a heavy metal band because you've got to be as foxy as you can.
You got to remember, it's not about what's on the inside. Mm-hmm. It's what's on the outside that counts, because that's what people see. Mm-hmm. They don't really we walk by in our costumes and stuff, and they see what's on the outside. If they sit and talk to you for a while, then you really have to work on the inside, but we just try to avoid that kind of contact.
Exactly. You try to get away before they start to really see what an evil, wicked person you are and what you have different motives is what it is.
Yeah, motives.
When they start to figure that out, that I don't give a shit about anything else other than myself, then I try to get away. Michael will let me know. He'll give me a hand, like a sports sign.
Right.
Or a gang. Whatever we decide we're going to do that.
It also comes back to your football background right there. And speaking of people who look great on the outside,
Tom Brady looks good.
He definitely does.
And he's winning all the time with his looks.
Let me tell you something. You can have a shitty personality, but winning is a great deodorant.
Exactly.
Well, yesterday we saw Tom Brady won, but going back 10 or so years, I had the pleasure of seeing you guys at the House of Blues in Los Angeles, and Dane Cook came on stage and made you guys do Smooth Up In You, which you pulled up out of nowhere.
Not really.
Not really?
I mean, we sound check with that song every now and then.
Yeah, we do.
It's a fun one.
It's an old go-to.
And he knew that we we liked. Him and I were talking. Was it you two? We were talking about fucking liking the Bullet Boys. Like
It wasn't U2. It was definitely Bullet Boys.
Yeah, U2. No, that's not the right one.
You know, I got to ask you something.
Yes.
One time I was, and I don't know where it was, but I was at a bar, and Bono and I used to visit there a lot, and Bono and the Edge came in.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, because they cause a ruckus everywhere they go, and I just go, oh, not U2 again.
That was a good one. That was a live one, I'm presuming. But U2 is not in the musical pantheon.
They like
in
to
terms
fight.
Of
They like to fight and cause trouble for everybody.
Yeah, they're more metal than you think.
Are they?
They're Irish, dude.
Yeah, they're Irish. They
Always
that's
fight
exactly.
and
That's exactly right.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But keep it in mind, because you got to promote this new record because it's so great. It's the first one that you've entirely done on your own terms.
Thank you.
And of course, you guys are headliners in your own right. So all the business is managed in-house. What led you to that decision? Because I know that you'd had a development deal with National Lampoon once upon a time.
Well, we partnered up with Paul Gary Management, which is Global Artist Management now, and we were with him for 5 years, and he taught us everything we need to know to go do it ourselves. He's one of the managers that enables you to learn, take it, and take it out, take the ball, and start your own sports team.
You take the ball and put it on your own tee is basically what we did. And we're not kicking her off to any other fucking team anymore. We're keeping that ball to ourselves. We're just going to let it sit on the tee as long as we want and keep it to ourselves. So because if you give the ball in somebody else's possession, that's a chance for them to score.
Right.
If we have the ball the whole fucking time and don't drop the ball,
We always score.
we always fucking score. We become the big winners.
I mean, we fumbled it a few times.
we pick it right back up because if it's on our side of the field, I drop the ball, somebody else can pick it up. But if you kick it off and give the other chance to team, record label, I'm talking in sports, this means,
Yeah.
I mean,
Sports. Yeah, air quotes.
so we're just keeping the ball to ourselves this time and not turning it over. Not kicking it, we're not passing it. Just going to hold on to it. And I appreciate that you like the new record, too.
Like is an understatement. I would say love. And the first video that you put out, or was it the second video,
All
that
I
you
want-
filmed in Vegas?
That's exactly right. All I want to do is film myself tonight.
How long did that take to film?
3 days.
It took
3, 4, 5 days.
it took a while. It took a while to film. It took a while to put the makeup all over my body to make it to make it even visible. I got a funny looking body.
Did you see us on the semi driving around?
Of course,
Okay,
yeah.
so we filmed that at like 3 a.m.
And
So
we had
we shot all day, took a break, went to the hotel for a minute, I think, and then we got dressed and drove straight over to the parking lot by the strip, and then hopped on the semi, did a safety test and class, and then we rocked it.
And is there any place that you actually like to hang out in Vegas, or do you just stay in the hotels?
Strip clubs.
Crazy Girls 3, dude.
Crazy Girls 3. That's where Portia, Ginger, and Cinnamon hang out. And you know what, too?
Brittany's there.
Brittany will go there. She likes to float around between that and there's a place called Backstreets. And it's like a little dive bar, but that's where you find the hottest, beautiful girls.
Is that the old strip or the off strip? Or
It's just off strip.
Off strip.
And then in terms of LA, for some of the readers and our listeners that are going to be checking this out, what are some of your favorite restaurants in Los Angeles?
Well, the Ivy's a great restaurant to go, but it's really kind of uncomfortable because it's kind of
Paparazzi,
snooty.
you get your picture taken a lot of times when you go there, Michael.
It's
Especially
pretty good. And it's not that expensive. Like for a cheeseburger, it's like $150. You know,
It's not a bad deal at all. Plus, and if you're promoting something, so Michael will go there, or I used to go there a lot, but I don't hassle.
Don't you eat at Taboo a lot?
I like Taboo.
Yeah.
I like Taboo. I also like to go down to Malibu when the sun is just going
Moonshines.
down. I like moonshines a lot.
Yeah.
That's where some famous people get in trouble a lot, and I bet I saw that again.
There's another place to go to. It's called the Rainbow.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's right next to the Roxy.
That's good food. And you
That's
can
good
always,
pizza. and
Ron
beer.
Jeremy's always used to say hi to Ron next time you're there.
But didn't you say that if you hang out with Lexxi, you get the free meals?
Yeah. That's how I know about the Ivy.
I turned him on to that. I didn't mean to because now.
Not like, let's go back to the Ivy.
Yeah, and I can't say no to this guy. I have a problem with that. That's a low. Well,
What did Nancy Reagan say? Just say no.
just say no. She fucked everything up for the
Yeah,
kids.
she sure the fuck did.
Well, so looking ahead, this great new album is almost out in stores. Is it going to be a 2-year world tour, or how far in advance do you know what's going on for Steel Panther?
We're already booked all the way through June of next year, and we're going to continue on booking the rest of the year as this year, the last quarter, comes to a close. And, it takes a couple of years to tour all the places that we can tour. So,
of course.
Speaking of contour, the lighting here is horrible, so I'm glad we're not going to be on camera. Like, I'm looking at myself going, fuck, I need more contour.
Right.
I think he looks fine. But I bet you have to deal with that all day long, right?
He does.
Yeah, well,
He
you
does.
know what? One good thing about Lexi's makeup thing is that he always has a mirror. So whenever I need to look at, see if I have nose
Even on
hairs,
stage, yeah, exactly.
ear hairs growing.
Will that be a merchandise item in the near future?
You're a damn smart man.
God,
We should yeah.
You want to be on a management team?
Absolutely. Fire when ready.
You don't get the ball, but
No, you don't get the ball, but we can talk to you still.
Yeah.
You ready? You ready? You just raise your hand when you're ready, and I'll kick it. I'm just kidding. Talk
Time
about
out.
yeah, exactly.
Time
Time out. We get as many timeouts as we want.
Hand
when we
signals.
Yellow card, you're out.
Yeah.
Air quotes. So in closing, any last words for the kids?
Well, again, heavy metal rules, and it is an amazing record, and we're so excited for our fans and our people that haven't heard of us. If this is the first record you listen to, it's a damn good start. So
Yeah, and if your parents are like giving you a hard time and telling you like you need to do more chores around the house, just do the chores and then go fucking party. Because all you gotta do, like, let's say you throw your socks on the ground and your room's a mess, and your mom walks in and goes, "Why are your socks on the floor?" And then you don't do it. She comes back in. "Why are your socks on the floor? Clean up your whole room." If you just pick up the socks the first time, you don't got to clean the rest of the fucking room.
and you get to do more shit.
Yeah.
And that shit would be listening to the new Heavy Metal Rules
Heavy Metal
album.
Rules
you.
album, which
Well-
comes out
December 28th.
no before that comes out on the
September 27th. Yep.
Well, thank you guys for your time, and we'll
Hey,
stop
those
there.
are great questions. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for listening to the Paltrocast with Darren Paltrowitz on the Pure Grain Audio Network. More information on the Paltrocast can be found online at www.puregrainaudio.com. Until next time, have a great Shabbos.